Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
When I'm ready for what?
Are we ready now?
Yeah, we've been ready for just a little bit.
What's up, guys? So we've had a lot of mess going on. So there's been some health issues and other things in my immediate family. And so we weren't able to record a podcast this past weekend, unfortunately. So I did the little ice bath thing to show everybody I'm a badass, But now we're going to get back in it. Now we have to make it up. So we've got 2 podcasts to do. We're going to do one right now. I got my friend Devin here. He is the tech guy. He's the one that's going to be switching back and forth. He's the one controlling the audio and helping out with the way it looks so that it's not all 100% my fault if it looks bad.
You just dropped that on me the second time you just pointed me out so that everybody knows it's my fault if it sounds bad.
He said you have to spend a bunch of more money on upgrading your internet and buying these things that you set in your house to help your Wi-Fi.
$12 more. It's $12 more.
No, it's $20-something more with the upgraded internet package that I got.
Well, you're the one that did that. I told you to do the Eros first.
I did both. So hopefully we're recording in better quality audio, better quality video. We're going to do kind of just an impromptu, like I've been out delivering all day. I had my kids delivering with me this morning, and I was delivering this afternoon. My wife, she's feeling a lot better. She was hanging out with the kids this afternoon. Other than watching and listening, mostly listening because I'm driving, to a bunch of different podcasts, Louder with Crowder, Patrick Bet David, Dan Bongino, a couple different things I listened to today and the other day. I haven't really prepared much. Devin has a couple of topics he wants to go through, but basically, I wanted to get in here and get my feet wet. I wanted to see what it's like to do an actual podcast with some back and forth. I like the back and forth that me and Devin had. The first podcast, that was nice. It helps me to keep going. But if you'll notice in that last podcast that Devin, he wrote like 15 minutes plus, because I had been doing it 15 minutes. Threw me off completely. I got 100% distracted.
Oh, you think you went for another 16 minutes?
I was in the middle of a point and completely lost my position because I'm reading this thing that says 15 plus, saying that I had been going for 15 minutes. So, and that's great. I did a 30-minute thing last time. I felt like I went too long. I felt like it was too long, but it wasn't.
I just didn't know if people wanted to listen to you that long.
Your mic is muted.
My mic is muted?
Push the button. It's blinking.
Oh, why is it blinking?
On. Jeez.
How am I supposed to know that? You're the one that set these up. The professionalism, man.
He's the tech guy in this combo.
You can see it. I can't see it.
Please subscribe and like so that I can pay him some kind of a salary, okay, for the hard work and the dedication that he has. It would probably help. I don't know if this is on.
Are you saying that I'm money motivated?
You're not money motivated.
That's very true. That's very true.
So
yeah.
Look, looking at the podcast and doing it, and we were just talking about this thing. If I had to do some things over, I would have gotten a tabletop so that we didn't have these booms. Because Devin's got this nifty little stand, and that's what the mics came with. It's much, 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 much better than these booms right here. Maybe the booms would be better if we had a table, but I kind of wanted to go for this coffee table kind of thing. But it's not exactly the most comfortable thing. We'll see what it looks like when I got somebody here beside me. This weekend, we plan on doing the podcast with my dad. So we plan on doing the Smash Mouth Foods, podcast, me and my dad talking about how we got started, what we did, mistakes we made, what led us to decide to lease it out or whatever, all that good jazz. Plus, on top of that, speaking of that, I just said something that I told myself I was going to stop saying. If you go back and look at my first podcast, I said jazz a disturbingly, large amount of time. Like I said that way too much. Because I listened to it, I forced myself to listen to it 4 times the next couple of days.
We said piss too. You said piss all the time.
I say piss. As piss, man. It's cold as piss.
I guess that's better than.
Oh man, that pisses me off. It's a better word than the alternative. We're not claiming to be PG over here. We're claiming to be PG-13. Okay, we're gonna try our best not to say the wordy dirty, but the words do come out sometimes.
90s PG-13 or
I don't know.
2000s or today?
I was born in 93, and when I was growing up until I became like a teenager and could drive, like all I listened to was Christian music, and I was homeschooled. So
I know. I thought you were weird.
I was a complete saint 100% until I got into my mid to late teens, okay? So, like, I don't know. I watched SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, Doug. You know, Ed, and Eddie was rebellious, you know, but I watched it. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Cartoon Network had going on back in the day. So I remember growing up watching Tom and Jerry. Y'all don't know nothing about Tom and Jerry no more. These new generation of softies. You know, I grew up with it right at the end of iCarly. My wife was watching a movie and it had that girl from the Justice
League.
No. Justice, the Disney Channel show, Justice.
I don't know.
Justice, whatever. It was one of the later ones that came out. She said it was right around Hannah Montana. I think it was after Hannah Montana, but I was like...
I watched Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Yeah.
It was Sweet Life on Deck bullcrap. No. They were reaching for that. That's bullcrap. That's absolute bullcrap. But Hannah Montana, the GOAT, you know... I mean, we could go even further back than that, but like that was my last hoorah when I was watching Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Was Hannah Montana. Oh man, what are some of the other... I never really watched. Wizards of Waverly Place.
I watched that a little bit.
Is, you know, well, that's what's wrong with you.
Well, no, what was wrong? I was
Corrupts.
sheltered.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch any of that. We had a black and white TV when I was growing up for like the first little bit.
Cats
Is that
Meow.
a cat?
Yeah, it was a cat meow.
Oh.
Yeah. This podcast is the Cats Meow. Y'all may not hear that, but there's a cat meow.
I wish we edited things because I would edit that out.
Yeah. And it's distracting. But look, so you had something you wanted to discuss. What did you want to discuss? You brought something up that you wanted to discuss. Now, Devin has the power of the internet in front of him.
Yeah.
And I've got my phone hooked up as a camera to view this TV screen because we're not bougie enough to do this, like where you just push the TV screen onto the thing and then we all can see it.
Oh, I can do that, just not with what you went with.
Well, I went with what I went with, and
you didn't consult me beforehand.
I
that was the problem.
You in as much as I said I'm going to do a podcast.
Yeah, and then the next thing I know, you're like, "Hey, I just bought like thousands of dollars worth of equipment."
A lot of stuff. It costs a lot. Things, you know, they cost a lot.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway,
now we got to get subscribers.
Let's figure out what this is like. This back and forth thing. So let you bring up a story. I'll give my opinion on it, and I want to hear your opinion.
My opinion,
and then I'll give my opinion because I'm a learned man.
Learned?
I'm learned.
Learned.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, well,
comment in the chat. Look at me, professional here. Comment in the chat if learned is a word. Learned. No, I'm a learned man. That's a word. Don't worry about it. Go with your story.
You said it, so.
Go with your story.
No. It's. I was just talking about the Texas border issue. Well, the Texas federal border issue.
You're talking about SCOTUS and their ruling to say that the Biden administration was okay to
go cut the razor on it, remove the weight. Yeah. But that takes away like the whole like the state like Texas. They're saying Texas cannot defend their borders. Texas cannot operate on a state level like they're supposed to be able to constitutionally do. Not to mention Texas holds the right to secede if they want to.
Well, but here's the problem: when you look at like stuff like the border, and I mean, I'm very much like give as much power to the states as possible.
Sure,
but the border is very much a federal issue. And I say that because one state who's at the border, you can't have like New York, Alabama, Montana, places like that, making and dictating things that are done at the border, and you can't have Texas alone dictating things. It's a federal for a reason. It's a federal border. We have federal borders because the federal government is supposed to protect the states. I think it was the Fourth Amendment or whatever. There's something in there. One of the amendments is talking about borders and stuff like that. Like, so the federal government is supposed to come down and protect. That was the whole thing. Like, our borders, they will protect. They're not.
Well, and that's the problem. So I get what you're saying is that, the federal government should have more rights to to the border than Texas should, because it is a border between countries versus just a state-to-state thing. But being that the federal government has not done their job, and they are saying, hey, we have an issue with that because this 2-mile stretch or whatever is where we want all of the immigrants to come through. Why is it an issue when we're securing the border?
Well, but and here's the same thing too. So if Texas decided, screw the government, whatever, we're going to do whatever, we're going to build a wall, we're going to do whatever we need to do, we're shutting down the border, then they'll just go to California.
Well, yeah.
So and that's the problem is that.
But Texas did their job.
It is. Texas can do that, and I agree with that. I'm not saying what I'm saying is, and it's all still. So what they've said is that while they're deliberating, still, like it's an ongoing court case, Biden administration has the right now to go ahead and start removing razor wire and barbed wire fencing and stuff like that. But that it's ongoing. So it's not a ruling that says Texas was wrong to do it. It's just saying, okay, while we're in deliberation, we're going back and forth, we're going to go ahead and make the claim that the government can go in and start removing because it is a federal border. Now, they're wrong, I believe, in the fact that it's an invasion down there, what's going on, because you have... It doesn't... I mean, you can, you can come in, if you're poor, you're downtrodden, you're fleeing, oppression, you're wanting a better start, different things like that. Obviously, you can say, well, there's a path that you're supposed to follow to get citizenship, to do it the right way. I get all of that.
Yeah.
But you could tug on my heartstrings and say these are just poor, innocent families trying to get better in life and all this. But there is such an overwhelming amount of younger, military-aged males, not just South American, but other countries.
Yeah.
It was thousands of Chinese nationals they've caught. Just what they've caught. Thousands from places like Afghanistan, Iraq, different parts of the world. They're coming through our southern border, and I can tell you right now, if there's ever going to be some sort of planned attack on our electrical grid or suicide bombers or anything else, anything like the World Trade Center or anything, it's going to have originated from the freaking border down there. And now, so what you have is you're going to have Donald Trump come in. Hopefully, he's going to come in and just overwhelmingly win, barring some disaster, and they can change the rules and everything again.
Yeah.
But you're going to have him, and he's already said we're going to do mass deportation and all that good stuff. And that's fine. I think you should. But what that does is they've put Donald Trump in this situation to look like an awful, or anybody who's coming there. Just if anything happened to Donald Trump, if it was Vivek, if it was Nikki, if it was whoever, they're probably going to do some mass deportation other than a Democrat. And so you put him in this awful position to look awful, to be this awful person, to take people and send them back to their countries. And it's just ridiculous. It shouldn't be that. So what I'm saying is we have a federal border, and the federal government is not doing their job. And so Texas is taking things into their own hands. Places like Texas are, a booming economy and different things like that, and they can afford to make that stand. You have pitiful, poor states, like our state, Alabama, who, can't make stands like that necessarily. The government holds the strings to a lot of states who are doing really, really poorly and are subsidized in schooling and infrastructure and other things, that if the government was to say, well, we're going to pull that apart, we're going to pull that away, if you don't do X, Y, and Z and what we want you to do, and most of these people are going to cave.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and, there's two different things there, and they're very well connected with the race and everything else. And I mean, wasn't it like a couple months ago something came out that there's like some sort of bill to give immigrants that are non-citizens the right to vote? And then that's a big question.
I if I'm not mistaken, and like I said, I did no notes for this. We didn't do I texted Devin at 11 o'clock today, and I'm like, let's do a podcast. What time? And
Yeah.
So, and then I've been delivering all day. I've been working all day up until this point, and I've still got some stuff I got to do after this. But I believe there are some states and some places already that you don't have to be, like in California and places like that. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to show any kind of ID. You could just go and vote. It doesn't matter because their overwhelming population is going to be Democratic anyways. So it's not going to matter. But that's what they're wanting to do with the country.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're seeing is you're seeing the African American vote. You're seeing the white suburban mom vote. You're seeing all these powerful demographics that have overwhelmingly been Democratic and blue for decades starting to shift and turn.
Yeah.
So they're losing their base. I mean, Donald Trump got, a record amount of black American votes. His first go round.
Yeah.
I think probably even his second go round.
Well,
Joe Biden had it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and he had like hundreds of thousands of votes all of a sudden pop out of nowhere.
Right.
Out of briefcases that, God, we're gonna get flagged on YouTube.
Flagged for what? You're not making any money right now. It doesn't matter.
I know, but
who's going to shut you down? Well, Tucker Carlson talks about this crap all the time. I know. There's all kind of stuff talking. Well, and then that's what I was.
I mean, I don't mind saying it.
I'm just Tucker Carlson.
It just hit me as like I'm talking about all kinds of stuff that like already, because I've already said like in the beginning, like I'm probably going to get banned, at some point in time. I made a Rumble account. I haven't uploaded anything on it. I'm going to be doing that. Did you see what Barstool Sports did with Rumble yesterday, day before yesterday?
Wait a minute, I might have.
So Dave Portnoy, who owns Barstool completely again, bought a big chunk of Rumble and has exclusively put all of Barstool Sports podcasts, which was over 70 different podcasts and sports things, exclusively on Rumble.
Ooh.
Exclusively.
So this is going on Rumble then?
This is going to go on Rumble. So we're going to be on Rumble. And Rumble's was made by a guy who's from Canada. Yeah. I mean, he's a Canadian, but he's just a free speech guy.
Right.
And so he made Rumble, and I use Rumble, so that's where I listen to, Louder with Crowder, Dan Bongino, anybody that's on there. Patrick Bet-David, PBD podcast is not on there that I know of, but he's been talking about coming on there and stuff like that. So that's where I go to listen to different things anyways. But it's a growing platform, and I want to get this on there and get it start to grow because I feel like, with the real estate and the investing and the different things that we can talk about on here, is going to be something that's not really popular on Rumble right now.
Sure.
And I'd like to get it on there. But anyways, that's extremely interesting. I don't even know how we got on that. Well, we're talking about getting banned or whatever. That's why we're going to be on Rumble. So, I don't care if you want to subscribe on YouTube or Rumble. I'd rather you subscribe on both because, I'd like to make the couple $1,000s that I spent on this stuff back and then be able to obviously buy more stuff.
Right.
I was wearing a hat earlier and it was like a huge shadow on my face because I got these two lights that are way up and I need some lower lights and some different things like that. I need to get a table so that I'm face to face with a guest instead of turning sideways and stuff like that.
Or, we could just, rent a studio building and then we don't have cats that are yelling through the door.
We can do that too, but I need some subscribers.
Right.
Like that.
There's that.
So
subscribers.
You have 3,000 hours viewed and you have to have 500 subscribers to get monetized on YouTube. I don't know what it is on Rumble.
I didn't even know Rumble did the monetization, but I imagine if Barstool Sports, if they're moving over there, then obviously they do.
Yeah. But as far as Texas and the border goes and stuff like that, good on Texas. I hope they continue to do stuff. They're fighting with both hands tied behind their back at this point with the amount of people that are coming across the border and the lack of funding from the federal government.
But there's definitely a question, I think, that's, the constitutional question. First of all, Texas, yes, is a sovereign state. They could protect their borders, those kind of things. And being part of the United States, obviously you can't tell the federal government, you can't be here. But you can when that domestic party is a threat.
Yes.
That's your phone?
That was my phone.
Yeah, that was your phone. I've muted my phones because,
but
if you just,
I'm wildly more popular amongst
what?
People.
People.
Than you.
Right.
So, I'm a
you're probably right.
I'm a needed man. No, I agree. The problem, and what I've always wondered, is me and my father have talked about this, me and my mom, me and you probably at some point. It's just not me and my mom, me and my wife.
It's you and I, my wife and I. It's
yeah.
Well, that's the correct vernacular.
Exactly. Vernacular, of course.
I
know the definition of vernacular, but we don't have time right now. We're talking about something else. So, basically, when the checks and balances of everything,
right?
What is the check and balance when you have the government, which is basically they're going to do whatever was said by the president, by his administration. So, what do you do when the administration just says, we're not going to uphold the Constitution. We're not going to break the Constitution per se, like what they're doing with the border. So now, I mean, I guess you could argue that taking up the razor wire is breaking the Constitution because they're supposed to be protecting, and that's the opposite. That's letting people through. But before then, so like when Texas was putting the whatever, the Biden administration just sitting over here like nothing. Like, oh, we don't have a border crisis. We don't have a border issue.
Yeah.
What do you do? Who steps up and says, excuse me, this goes beyond, this transcends policy. You're not doing anything about something, and you're saying there's not a problem when there's completely obvious that there is a problem.
Right.
So then what do you do? What's the check and balance for that? Because in the Constitution, basically, we the people don't have, other than like voting, like we can vote him out, obviously. But what we've seen is the hijacking of our elections.
We can't really vote him out
from COVID and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, you have our senators and everything. Where's nobody talks about the Epstein list or anything like that anymore. None of them, Republican, Democrat, hardly at all, because they're all on it and everything else. So what do? It leaves the American people to nothing but the Second Amendment, where it's basically the right to take up arms against a tyrannical government.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Biden, did you hear what he said yesterday, day before yesterday?
Oh, what
about it?
Go ahead.
He said, he was laughing, I was a question or whatever, and he said, you need a jet. You need an F-16 if you're going to come against your government.
Well,
he was laughing at the fact that, it's to defend ourselves, from a tyrannical government, Second Amendment, all that good. He's like, oh, you need an F-16. Now, it was tongue-in-cheek, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, it goes right along. I mean, I don't know if that's something that's separate than what I watched the other day, but it was him saying that if Texas doesn't want to let them to the border, they'll just bring F-15s in there. And like that, came out of his mouth, and then he laughed about it. So I don't know. That probably goes right along with it. But
so another question, talking about this is something I'm curious of what you think. I listened to PBD podcast the other day. They were talking about it towards the end of their podcast yesterday. Who is going to run against Donald Trump in November this year? Who's he going to be against? I want president and vice president. If you think it's the current administration, that's fine. I want your opinion. I want an honest opinion.
I don't think that. Obviously, the vice president, she's got worse, pollings than Biden.
Yeah. She was picked by Biden because she called Biden a racist, and everybody believed it. And so the only way to prove he wasn't a racist is to put the person of color whom he was accused of being racist towards as his VP, so that you can't say racist anymore. Like, it was perfect. Like, what a great strategy.
Well, and that's I don't think that. I mean, to be honest with you, I think Nikki Haley is in their pocket. I mean, I think Nikki Haley
You think Nikki Haley is a VP choice for the Democrats?
No.
Or a presidential?
I think presidential choice. I think that she is running on... I mean, when you really look at her and everything that she said, she's so... God, what do I need to say? What do I need to... That's her. What do I need to say to make it...
I was expecting the cookie cutter Gavin Newsom to be named.
No. I think
Joe Biden fell backstage during the DNC convention, and so now he's not going to be able to run.
I think it doesn't matter, because I think Nikki Haley from the beginning has been the Democrats' fallback. And maybe primary, to be honest with you. I would imagine that they would want Nikki Haley in there versus... Biden and
So Trump won New Hampshire historically,
right?
And if you look at in New Hampshire, you don't have to declare. So you can vote in a Republican primary as a Democrat, as an independent. You don't have to you don't have to come in and say, okay, I'm a Republican, so I'm going to vote. Like you could be a Democrat and vote. So Nikki Haley, half of the votes that she got were independent and Democrat. So Trump would have won by even more. The fact is that Democrats crossed over to vote for Nikki Haley. Independents crossed over to vote for Nikki Haley. People that are Biden voters. And I think this is a very accurate look at what New Hampshire would be in the main bout.
Yep.
I think that you would see Trump win pretty convincingly.
Yeah, well, but you got the question of okay, so everything that's going on, and okay, so what happens? Biden, they're going to keep Biden there as much as possible because, that's their best option on the Democratic side. But, okay, is the plan for Trump to go to jail? I don't think that's going to happen either. But they're not going to stop, and they've already shown that they are, and by they I mean whoever is really pulling the strings. They've already shown that they're going to do whatever it takes. And so even if it doesn't stick, what if Trump goes to jail for a little while, and then Nikki Haley is all that is Republican?
I heard, gosh, who was it that said this? I can't remember what podcast it was it was an interesting take. So, and I texted you this because we talked about this back and forth yesterday. I think that if Trump were to die or something were to happen, he went to jail or whatever, Nikki Haley, here she is, she's hung in this long, she gets to the RNC, and I think that the delegates all get together and choose someone separately.
Well, see, you had said that.
I think they will go. They don't have to go with Nikki Haley. At that point, they can choose someone separately. I just don't think Nikki Haley is well liked enough, not only within the states that she's run in or that we're polling right now, but just in general. I don't think she's a well liked person. And it's disappointing because from what I remember, she was a hoss in the. What are you doing?
Trying to plug this in. Oh, this is not.
What are you looking for?
It says it's got 10% of battery left.
Oh, well, we need to get a charger then.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. Look, I was doing it, and you got distracted.
Put the camera
you got distracted.
And I'm gonna go in here and get something.
Okay, you go get the charger.
And you.
Explain.
Explain something to them about it, and I'm gonna go get a charger for the iPad so it doesn't die.
Yeah.
And turn the air down because I'm hot.
Yeah, it's very warm in here. I don't do the whole camera back and forth thing, so you're sit here talking to a camera. But anyways, I think that there's far more to it than what we even know. There's so much that goes on that we don't know. But you can see from...
That's horse crap.
What? I would imagine so, but you could see from what... There we go. What do you want me to do? Climb up under here while I'm on camera? No, switch the camera. Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. And where am I supposed to plug this in at, homie?
Down there, bro. Up under the thing, bro. There's a strip down there.
Yeah, there is, and your Eero's plugged into it. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I got it.
No, right here. There's a plug right there.
It's fine.
No, it ain't fine.
Look.
It'll be fine.
See, this is why we need to edit.
No. We just need, this is what we need. We need to
next time we're going to have...
Is it charging?
No, it's not. Next time
is it not charging?
It's definitely not charging.
Well,
why does this say iPad, but this is not an iPad? Did you get something from China or something? Korea?
Everything's from China and Korea, first of all, and I think that the
I probably shouldn't say that, right?
Was a little bit offensive, to be honest with you.
Really?
A little bit.
Oh.
Like you meant something.
What are your pronouns? Are we going down that route? You no? Okay. Well,
money and bags.
So there was money bags. The other day, I was filling out this application as you know, I'm having some trouble with who I work for right now, so I was filling out an application for another job. And one of the questions was what my pronouns are, but you could click other and type it in, and I just, it just really...
Look,
you're killing me.
I'm trying my best.
I mean, you're killing me.
I'm trying my
Why
best.
haven't I turned it on?
Yeah, there's a vibrate button.
God, it's terrible.
See, this is what I'm talking about, though. We need
How do you get your finger in there?
The issues, the problems, live. We need to deal with them. That way, we deal with the pain and the embarrassment of a poorly run, poorly planned.
Well, you walked out and you told me to talk to the camera, and I'm like, you know. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, anyway,
application.
Yeah, application, and it took me the longest time to answer that question because, like, obviously I don't care about pronouns, but like it just baffled me that that's a thing now. That's something that has really taken on, that now we're putting that on job applications, and if they, and I guess if you don't put that question on there, you're gonna get ridiculed.
It's because I work with Amazon, and so
well, yeah, I'm sure they ask that all the time.
No, it's on their emails.
Yeah.
So when you get an email from an Amazon representative,
my school was that way.
It will say their name. It will say their information. Amazon. I'm a vice whatever. CEO,
and then their pronouns.
And then it will say my preferred pronouns are.
Yep.
Most of the time, I haven't seen anything weird. It's always been she, her, he, him.
Well, I have, and I work like I'm doing courses through WGU, and
what does that stand for?
Western Governors University.
Okay.
So yeah, you didn't know if I knew that, right? You were trying to kid. Yeah. Anyways,
I had a guy ask me what LBW.
Lurleen B. Wallace. What is the B? Bernice? Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so I get this email from like a student advisor that is an actual student. Let me take this Jared Halsey off here because I'm not Jared Halsey. I'm sorry, guys. I don't get a little name tag thing. He put his on there, but
has that been on there the whole time?
Yeah, so I'm taking it off and putting it back. But our first little while was like Jared Halsey. Halsey. So now it's just like blank. It's nothing. But anyway, so I got this email, and the way that they were talking, they were asking me what my pronouns are and this and that, and I'm like, I don't subscribe to that. Like, I'm just not gonna call you any pronouns. Like, I'm just going to say your name, and I will overly use your name. And, but their email it was they, them. And then I messaged my, count or whatever she is. And I was like, hey, look, I'm not trying to rock the boat or anything. Just please pair me with someone else. Well, I was trying to make a point that like I don't
stand for it.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be mean. But don't think that you're going to require me to call you what I'd like to do. I mean, like, it's English. It's English language.
That's an impossible thing to ask of somebody. So they're going to make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake, and it's what it's doing is it's giving permission to another person to correct you, to get onto you. It's taking some authority away from you that you could mispronounce, misspeak.
We literally just took pronouns and made them cuss words. Yeah. They're cuss words for some people and they're not for others. That's a catch-22 if I've ever seen one.
I am so looking forward to the day that I run into a problem like that, like live in person. Have you seen that? Oh my God, it is so freaking funny. That black, I guess, Ugandan pastor. The black guy who talks, he interviews the homosexual woman, and he's like, "Why are you gay?" Have you seen him? I saw a video the other day, and the caption said, "Whose uncle is this?" And it was him, and he said, "If you get to heaven and you do not see me, you have went to hell." And I just absolutely love it, man.
That's great.
I love how unapologetic he is about all that good stuff. And so, listen, like it doesn't matter if you want to be gay, if you want to be transgender, if you want to be any of this stuff. It doesn't matter, man. Nobody cares. Don't let anybody sit here and tell you that somebody cares. Nobody cares. Christians, 90% of them don't care. Your granny don't care. I don't care. Leave my kids out of it.
Oh yeah, well and that's why mine are homeschooled now.
Leave people out of it. Leave it out. Like, that is your stuff. That is you. And like, I'm not out and about telling people, what I'm doing in my bedroom it's inappropriate. And so likewise, I don't want to hear what you're doing. I don't want to hear how you identify. I don't care. You shouldn't care. I've never once in my life felt like I need to go up to somebody and say, yeah, I'm a man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because there are things that are just assumed.
Right.
And so if I see you and you're a woman, obviously, and you're obviously trying to look like a man, it's obvious.
Right.
So you don't have to tell me. It's obvious. Now, where it does not...
I'm not going to call you sir or ma'am at that point.
I'm just going to be like, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Yeah.
I don't have to say, hey, ma'am, how are you doing? There's been so many times
Well, and that's the thing where they lose that respect.
But we've always ran into that. So, like, we forget back in, like, when, we were teenagers and stuff, before this whole transgender thing was even a big deal. Like, was he ever even talked about? It was like, but you still had those problems where you're like,
yep.
I don't know what that is. You're looking at your friend and you're like, what is that?
Well, what sucks is that a lot of times they actually they'll use like a different name, or they're like on Facebook and stuff, like they'll call themselves something different and you can't tell.
Yeah.
So like I've always been one to want to treat someone with respect.
And then you're on the phone with somebody and it's a raspy, like
my aunt,
something like that, and you're like, all right, and then sir, and they're like, I'm a ma'am, and I'm like, well, piss.
Yeah, my bad. It's like I went to...
Have you ever listened to yourself? That's like the most honest mistake, because, you should probably cut back on whatever you're doing to your throat.
Right.
Your freaking
Mongolian...
Your Mongolian throat singing that you do, you should probably keep that out. Like, you should get that out of there,
Well, I went to restaurant the other day, or drive-through, fast food restaurant. I'm not going to name the name of it, or where it was at. But and we've gone through there a couple times, and every single time this person comes on, sounds like a woman, and I've addressed that person, said yes ma'am, this and that, all, and then get up there and find out that's definitely not a woman.
I know where it is.
I'm sure you do. And then my wife did it, and I didn't say a word when she was sitting there, and she's ordering, and she's saying yes ma'am. I'm just over there, just like covering my face, like just waiting. And we get up there, and she looks at me like scandalized, like how what the crap? That's not that's a guy. I'm like, yeah.
You should probably tell him that.
Yeah, I was like, apologize to him, and she's like, no, I'm just gonna act like it didn't happen. I was like, that's probably for the best. I said, I'm pretty sure it happens all the time, and it happened to me. And she's like, well, screw you for not telling me.
Yeah,
but,
no.
Yeah.
I love it, and I love. You should go through a drive-through with my dad. He's getting.
I can imagine.
To a point in his life, he just don't give a piss anymore. Although he tries to be nice and polite to people, but like.
Yeah.
He'd get up to the drive-through, and it'd be the voice. I'm not gonna do it, and then he'll just be like, what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah.
Just like it hits you. And you're like, don't want to have to deal with that.
Well, then you have those questions of like, obviously, like if they're. Well, I can't really get into that. I can't, I can't really say it.
Look, we're trying not to offend people.
Yeah.
We're just talking about like legit, real world type stuff that goes on and normal people. 90% of everybody watching this is going to be like, it's very relatable type thing,
Hopefully, but we're probably going to get criticized.
Yeah.
I guarantee you our first comments are not going to be awesome. It's going to be, you guys suck.
That's fine.
I was trying to make that kind of noise.
And see that, and that's the thing. We need criticism. I know.
Okay.
Look, I've leased out businesses before, several businesses, and with each one of those, I've had someone message me on Facebook or see me in the street or whatever, and they're like, hey, I miss you guys, or this. Maybe this isn't the same, or that isn't the same, or whatever. Or maybe I got some food and it wasn't exactly what I ordered or what I wanted and all this good stuff. And I tell them, I said, listen.
Tell them that.
Don't tell me. So when we first started, we benefited from just an overwhelming, like, I don't know how people eat at McDonald's. Like, where do you go to complain at McDonald's? Like, because we got complaint after complaint after complaint. It was like, oh, your burger patties are too big. Oh, they're too small. The bread was too fluffy. It wasn't fluffy enough.
There was too much crisp.
Toasted. It wasn't toasted enough. It was too greasy. It wasn't greasy enough. It didn't have enough cheese. It needed more ketchup.
Well, you're also in the complain world of America here, where you got all these older people around here that they feel entitled to have that opinion.
But you take all of those and you put them in a basket and you funnel those through and you say, okay, I've had multiple complaints that are like this and multiple here. So obviously there might be some kind of problem. And so I've always tried to just go at something and say, okay, it's my fault. Oh, my burger was overcooked. Okay, that's my fault. What could I have done better? What can I do better next time? And I feel like that's that's a good way to look at things so that you're not...
Well, you just take ownership of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
whether it's yours or
what
not.
Else are you going to do?
And I've heard somebody say this a while back. I can't remember. And several people have said it since I first heard it. But, if you go at everything thinking it's your fault, then it's controllable. It's something you can control and try and fix. But if you go at everything and say, oh, that's not my fault, well, then there's nothing you can do about it. So if you say, well, I can't make money, I can't get ahead in life, there's nothing you can do about it if it's not your fault. If you blame the government, if you blame circumstances and stuff like that, well then what you're saying effectively is this is how my life will be forever.
Well, and that's
because I can't change it.
Right, and that's a thing that.
And what a good segue into investments, because at some point I want to talk about investments. So.
And that that's a thing. Well, we're probably about to have to wrap up. It's 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
We've been talking for 41 minutes and 26 seconds. Good. But that's something that I'm very big on. I'll just touch on it real quick. But if you're 35 years old, if you're 25 years old, the person you are is your fault. It does not matter what happened to you as a child. It does not matter what's happened to you before. Your decision to be the person that you are today, that's your decision. There may be other factors that play into that, like history plays into how we move forward with things. And there's trauma and things from other things, but you can't base your life off of someone else's decisions to wrong you or someone else's decisions to do things that you had no control over. And you've got to figure out how to get over that. And I say that because what you said, there's a so much bigger topic there where there's so many people that they'll say, like getting into your investing in real estate, so many people that'll say, I can't do that. My parents never did it, is what's in their head. My parents didn't do that. My parents didn't save money. My parents didn't this. They didn't that. Oh, I don't care what my parents did or didn't do. We didn't have money growing up. And not that I have money now, but I live a comfortable life. And that's a big deal, is that I've always, from about my mid or early 20s, taken responsibility for who I am, because I am the product of me, of my decisions. That's who I am. And whether it be good, whether it be bad, and I tell my kids this all the time, don't put your head down. If I'm getting on to you about something, you look me dead in the eye and you take responsibility from that and you move forward. Use that as a learning experience. Don't let it control your life. But anyways, that's deep.
We'll do a whole podcast and we'll just deep dive into Devin's issues and upbringing and how you got to where you are and everything you learned. I just think being moldable, being shapeable, being teachable, coming at everything saying, okay, this person, they're an idiot, they're this, that, and the other, but I can learn something from them. Right. It's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion that, Jared's a moron. Jared.
Okay, good, because I was feeling.
I just want to break that ice. I want you. It's okay.
Okay, good.
But where it becomes a problem is when you think that I have nothing of value to say.
Very true. Very true.
Give. You want to hear somebody say some things that'll cut you, some things that might be true. There might be some truth to it. Listen to what people who don't like you say.
Oh, for sure.
Listen to what they say. You don't have to sit here and dwell on it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying but. Like, listen to what your biggest rival, your biggest enemy will say about you. Because what you'll hear might be some things that you need to work on. And so that's kind of where I, like, you know, you fuss with your wife or whatever. Me and my wife have a perfect marriage, so, you know, we never fuss or fight.
Right, no arguments. Mine and my wife either. We've never,
But like, I try
never
to
not
say
argue
what she says at the end of the day. Maybe not in the heat of the moment, and say, is there anything that I can do better? Is there anything that I can change? Was there any truth in, you know, that book that she threw at me? You know, she didn't throw any book at me, but still,
it's
like,
coffee
you know,
cups, right?
Yeah, mostly just like really sharp,
breakable
objects,
chops,
things like that. Trying to do some real damage. But anyways, going at things like that, I think that if you grew up in America, it doesn't matter where you are, but what your background is. Everybody's going to have a different lot, man. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's going to grow up. You might grow up with a silver spoon up your butt, whatever. Everybody's going to grow up with something, and it's going to be easier for some people and harder for others. And you can sit here and say, oh, well, it's awful for me or whatever. Or you can get up, you can make tons of money, and you can come back and change a generation. You can make it easier for the people that grew up. You can write that book that needs to be written. You can do that podcast that needs to be done. You know, you can start that company, invent that product. You can change your family tree. It all starts with you. And if you go with that philosophy that everything starts and stops with me, period, you know, that's where, you know, that you're going to go somewhere. It's the greatest country in the world. You've got all the chances in the world to grow up and be something and do something, no matter where you live. It's happened time and time again. Not everybody was born, you know, with LeBron James' build and athletic ability.
Right.
Obviously, he's going to be good at basketball, period. If he just works at it a little bit, he'll be good at basketball because he's that tall. He's that athletic naturally. You know those guys that walk around, they have their shirt off or whatever. They never go to the gym. They don't eat right, but they got a six-pack. They're just built that way.
I hate them.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, you know, and but people have those abilities and stuff like that. But you can get a six-pack. You can be really good at basketball. You're not going to.
It's only $12 at the store.
What's $12 at the store?
A six-pack.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, so the point is you know, with investing or in life, anything like that, you know, just work at it. Come at it from a humble spot. You have something to learn. And I reckon we'll just wrap it up there. And this has just been like a throw together podcast. We wanted to do something because I didn't do anything this past weekend because we had some, you know, health issues in the family, which we are overcoming, thank God.
Yeah. Good.
But we're going to get together with my dad. We're going to have him sitting in a chair, and we're going to talk about Smash Mouth Foods, how we got started, what we did before that, all that good jazz. Kind of, you know, see how I work jazz. I think I only said it. That was the third time. I just repeated it.
Well, now I have to go through 47 minutes and count it.
Yeah,
and
I think
and put it on the screen every time.
I think it was only 3. That's way.
It was pretty good, and I didn't really hear piss at all.
I threw up in my mouth a little bit about the 10th time I heard myself say jazz the last podcast. So I'm holding that. So we're learning. We're getting better. We'll have a charger next time. Didn't realize if we went this long that the thing would start to go dead.
Right. You know, batteries die.
So look, we're going to be back. I don't know when I'm going to post this. Maybe tonight, which is Wednesday. Maybe tomorrow, which is Thursday. But we're going to come back. We're going to record a podcast with me and my dad. We're going to talk about Smash Mouth Foods, how we got started, where we're at, what it looks like to start a food trailer, to what costs involved, what did we have when we got started, what did we have midway through, what did we have towards the end, and then, you know, we're going to wrap it up and talk about what it's like leasing those businesses out, how that feels, answering those questions, all that good jazz. I said jazz. If you have a question,
that's 4.
If you have a question, put it down in the comment section, or send us a message. Go to our website. It's pretty bussin'. Little landing page.
You can't say bussin'. You're outside.
We've got to talk about how to capture people on my website. Side issue, but note that down in your head. Like, I need to capture I need to make some money off of people visiting the website somehow. We'll figure that out, you know. Like, we're gonna figure out, because then we'll.
Well, you're the one that made it, so I don't know. How I
monetize all this stuff? First of all, we got to monetize something. We got to make something somewhere. Yeah. So look, like, share, subscribe.
We'll drop our Cash App in the comment. No,
Venmo, Cash App, Zelly, whatever. We'll do anything. Send money.
Zelly.
It's like a thing, bank to bank type money transfer.
The last E is silent.
I don't know that.
So it's Zelle.
Well, you know, unlike the pronouns of people, they don't tell you that kind of stuff. They just throw it out there.
They did, you know? When they
like
wrote, the word.
People say Vivek Ramaswamy. It's Vivek. He said it himself. He said Vivek like cake.
Huh?
God, I hope he's our vice president. God, I hope.
Well, that'd be nice.
I love
unless he's a sheep's or a wolf in sheep's clothing. But what I would like to say is, we talked about a lot of topics, and if someone wants us to elaborate more or whatever on certain topics, feel free to drop that in the comments, because short of going back and listing them all out, watching now 50 minutes of video, which I'm sure nobody's probably going to get to this point, besides us when we rewatch it.
Yeah.
But
I'll listen to it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be that one view.
For sure. Oh, well, you'll be the second probably, because as soon as they come up, I'll watch them. But yeah, just drop us a comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Not saying we're going to listen to you.
Yeah, and
we might not.
So like likes and comments are good for like the YouTube algorithm and stuff like that. But subscriptions, the subscribe, I don't care if you turn the bell off and you don't even get notified. I don't even press at this point. I'm just trying to get to the point of monetization so that I can start to recoup something of the thousands of dollars that I've spent on this room and all this stuff, this cool stuff. I've got a bunch of new books. We're going to be talking about books, some episodes too. We talk about some of the books that are crap. I bought 4 new books the other day. Creative Cash, The Power of Positive Think, this book, Wealth Without Cash, a little Pace More, be a little sub too. Everybody with ooh. Different things like that.
Don't make that noise.
We're going to we're going to start reading some of this stuff. I'm going to start reading some of it. I'm working on some now. Get some book reviews. So most of the books I've read are copy paste. A lot of them are garbage. You just skim through and be done with them. But anyways, listen, I appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely share this with people. I love to get the word out. I think we got some interesting crap we talked about. It's absolutely wonderful. We're going to get better. This was not a designed setup show at all. We didn't have topics that we wanted to talk about apart from you wanted to talk about the whole border thing going on. This was thrown together. This was not prepared.
You made like a face when you said that.
I mean, listen, we're gonna get better is what I'm saying. We're gonna get better. I'm just saying I'm disappointed that was the only thing that you brought a little bit, I guess. It was a little bit of disappointment.
Well, I mean, it is real capital, and you're Mr. Real, and I figured that, you would be more prepared.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's all right. Yeah.
But anyways, like, share, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned this weekend for another post. We're still going to do the whole real estate thing where I talk about how to get started in real estate investing, a real path to financial freedom through real estate. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully, I'll record it this weekend, maybe put it up next week. We're going to start getting more consistent with videos and stuff like that. Hopefully, get more professional. So I appreciate you guys. This is your favorite anchor man, Mr. Real. It's going to catch on. Signing off. See ya.
Jazz.